Hello everyone, so this is Damari and you're tuning into my shadow work tarot reading for mid-August to late August 2019 for the sign of Pisces. So this is for Pisces, Sun, Moon or Rising and Venus, all of which will apply on different levels. So to begin with, I just want to pull from the Dark Mirror Oracle, and the reason why I do this is because this pack is particularly good for doing shadow work. What it does is that it brings the more negative aspects of our character, things that we're contending with, you know, the more negative or darker energies, thoughts, feelings, behaviours to the surface so that we can address them, process it, and truly begin to heal and move on. So sometimes there'll be things that are resurfaced in various ways that we may have had lurking from many years past, or it could be something that's just been stirred up due to current circumstances. So this will help you to gain the clarity in order to, you know, understand what it is and be able to work on it. So this is a really good pack for this type of work. And then after that, once I have the cards, I'll be able to clarify using the Wild Unknown Tarot. So let's get stuck in. But this is my brand new channel. I am new to doing readings in this context, so it'd be really appreciated to get your thoughts on how you found the read. And yeah, there'll be plenty of more videos coming in the very near future. So let's see what we get for you for mid to late August 2019, Pisces. What shadow aspects are you currently dealing with right now? What needs being brought to the light? For Pisces, August 2019, middle to the late end of August 2019. Okay. Forgetting oneself. Interesting. What else have we got for Pisces? Because that's the other thing. I always pull more than one card when I'm doing the Dark Mirror Oracle, because there's usually always more than one thing going on at any given time, right? So it just gives you a better insight as to what's going on, what's happening, what it is that you're contending with, because it's not always clear depending on the circumstances. So I just want to pull one or two more cards. What else do we have for Pisces for mid to late August 2019? What else is their shadow aspect revealing? Okay, so what's come out? Addicted. Forgetting oneself and addicted. Okay. So let's address that now. So we'll read from the Dark Mirror booklet to begin with. We'll go from the booklet just to give you a bit more background information as to what these cards represent, and then I can really discuss how that applies. So let's go to forgetting oneself first of all. So going dark, a modern Adonis, a modern Adonis, an ancient Hermes, a grown-up Cupid, shrined in laurel, myth, and lotus. He is the welcoming allure of the present moment, the warm embrace which numbs everything else, like Bacchus's wet kiss. If you let go of the pressure and of the pain, if you let go of enough of your identity and of the context you live in, then you will just feel better. It is what happens when you fall asleep, when you take refuge in the arms of a loved one, or when you watch a movie slumped ungraciously on a comfy couch. Sometimes, however, it asks for more than it asks for more. It takes more out of you, more of yourself to be forgotten, to feel just a little better. And maybe the twisted idea that if you forgot everything, then you will actually feel really better. Forgetting everything, letting go of everything. not just as a moment of rest, but as a jump in the dark. It is like vertigo. You stand on the edge of the precipice and a little part of you wants to jump, but it is just a moment of rest, a moment of pause, a moment of uncreative selfishness. So what? Let it be and sleep soundly. Okay, so as you will see from both of these cards, there is a moon phase associated and placed on either side. These moon phases are used to symbolize different aspects of grief. So the different stages of grief that we go through when we're processing these darker emotions. And the moon phases are used to mirror, funny enough, used to mirror those different stages of grieving. So that's why you have two very different ones here. So I just wanted to give you some background on that. So yeah, I mean, with forgetting oneself, you're literally trying to numb the pain by just kind of not being, in a way. Like it's kind of like dancing between the line of ego death and self-destruction. It's kind of dancing between that line of not wanting to do anything anymore and, you know, wanting to just be present and just not having to think of anything but just be. So it's a very oddly comforting position to be in, because you don't feel the stress and anxiety that a lot of these other cards represent, but at the same time you're numbing yourself out to the point where you're not going to feel anything, and that's not good either, because as you can see, you know, that leads to addictive tendencies, to the things that helps you numb the pain. So that could be, you know, you're drinking way more than you should be, you're smoking way more than you should be, maybe you're getting heavily into drugs, maybe you're, you know, being very, very promiscuous, which is in itself not a terrible thing, but it's like the way in which you go about it, and, you know, just having all these flings with connections that mean nothing to you, and, you know, just in the hope of trying to feel something but not feeling anything. All that's going to do is lead to more feelings of this, right? So it's really important that you are aware of that that's what you're doing right now. That it's okay to just kind of let things go and just be present, but in that, don't try and numb the pain that you've recently experienced. Just allow yourself to go through it and process it, and then just be in the present moment, knowing that you're out of it now, and that, you know, time is the ultimate healer. Okay, so let's go into this addicted card. So I'll give you a bit more information about what this dude with the spikes is about. So going dark, addiction to something, to drugs, to love, to company, to evil, to pain, to safety, to making simple everything that can be deep. They have in common the feeling of being lost if we are ever of being lost if we are ever without it. Freedom is not a friend, as it promises responsibility, failure, challenges. Freedom can be taken, can be broken, can be stripped naked and whipped and abused. Slavery is a much cleaner choice. If you give it all away at the beginning, how can they take it from you? So how can it be that it is so easy to believe that the freedom is an illusion, and it's so hard to feel that slavery is illusion as well? That the sky has a limit, but the chains have one as well. The irony of it all, when we lose the desire, much before losing the will to fight, is that it actually is possible to reach the sky even when bound by chains. Okay? And that's the thing, like, this is very much associated with the depression phase of grieving. And you've got the waxing moon crescent, whereas the forgetting oneself is the waxing gibbous, and is the denial stage. So here you can really see that, that you are allowing yourself to become a slave to these destructive behaviours. You're not just being present, you're trying to numb everything that you've felt up until now because you don't want to feel it anymore. And that means, living a life that leads you to making decisions that doesn't benefit you in the long term. All it does is make more of this, make you feel even more lost and like you're drowning, really, actually, in the emotion rather than just allowing yourself to feel it and move past it. Because then whenever you're not doing the thing that's distracting you, whatever it is that you're addicted to or you're using as a crutch, all of those emotions are right there and they come flooding back to the surface. So that's why you keep gravitating back towards this thing, whatever it is, as a patch. Because then you don't have to worry about feeling it anymore. But that's not going to serve you. That's actually going to lead to a whole host of other problems. And you may already be seeing that. So I just want to now pull the Wild Unknown Tarot, as that will give me more information as to what exactly you've been contending with and why you feel it's impossible to just go through the emotion and instead use this crutch. Like, what led to this, Pisces? Because I really do feel like, you guys are the fish, right? And I feel like you are literally a fish out of water. You're flapping around in the air, gasping for breath. And instead of getting air, what you're getting is your lungs filled with oil. That's how I feel right now. That's the kind of analogy I'm going with right now. Because, you're not swimming the calm waters, you're suffocating in oil, gasping for air. And I want to know what led to this, what's going on here for you, Pisces, because that's not good energy to have. Okay. So there's some very clear messages coming through, so let's just have a look. What else that you're contending with right now in relation to forgetting oneself and addicted? And for the final week, because you'll see 3 columns here, the first is for the current week we're in, so mid-August. The next is for next week. And then this final one that I'm putting now is for the final week of August 2019 for my dear Pisces. So just need the last 2 cards. Boom, they just came out together straight away. Okay, thank you. So let's address what's going on here for you guys. So, first of all, so this is your current week, okay? This is where we're at now. You have the Star, okay? So that's your wishes, right? That's your dreams, that's your desires, that's your, your prayers, your everything, the things you want more than anything, things that matter most to you. And it's in the upright. So maybe that you felt like you had everything you could possibly have wanted, and yet somehow that was stripped away from you. Something or someone took that from you. That feeling of walking on cloud 9. Something really dramatic happened, and that came to an end in some way. And that left you feeling absolutely broken. And rather than, feeling that pain, you gravitated towards a vice. You gravitated towards a crutch of some sort to mask your pain. I get a feeling, because of this card is very much like a pride-related card. There's a lot of ego here. I feel like, you're partially trying to save face as well. You don't want people to know how broken you actually are right now and how much this hurt you. So you're kind of trying to save face and shrug it off and just live this hedonistic lifestyle. But it's not you. That's not how you are, and that's not what you want, right? Even if you are a bit that way inclined, I feel like that you don't really operate in the way you are now, and you certainly don't allow it to rule your life in the way that it has as of late. So something really took you aback to bring you from this to this. It must be something very catastrophic, I imagine. Maybe the loss of someone close, maybe someone passed on. Maybe there was some kind of redundancy, or you lost your home, or there was some kind of accident. I don't know what exactly happened, but I feel like it was something very, very significant that led you down this path. It could have been recently, it could have been some time ago, but whatever it was, at one point you was feeling absolutely on cloud nine. You was feeling great, you were operating your best. And something happened and you just got taken completely out by it. Like, you did not see it coming, and it was just catastrophic for you. So I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. But yeah, I can see that was obviously the catalyst for where you are now. So moving on. Next you have the Nine of Swords in reverse. So yeah, you've been such a wreck over this. Like, you've been worrying, all these really toxic and negative feelings have been festering inside you. You feel like it's been eating you alive, and you just couldn't do it anymore. So rather than being stuck in that place, you may have been severely depressed. You may have been on, you may currently be on antidepressants or something along that line, some kind of medication. To numb this pain, but maybe you'll actually become a little bit over-dependent on the medication. It could be even that you're self-medicating because you know that you don't want to stay in this depression any longer. So you're finding your own way to cope with it. But you're definitely still contending with that this week in quite a strong way. So we'll move on to the next card, and we have the Ten of Cups in reverse. So whatever it was, I feel like whatever caused this, the situation has already passed. It's already passed, but the effects is ongoing. Like, the consequences are really, a bit visible on the surface now. Even if you were internalizing and you were keeping up a good front for a long time, that facade is coming down. People can see that actually you are really suffering, and that it can't continue. You can't carry on feeling like this and just doing whatever to try and not feel anything anymore, because that's not the answer. It's time to allow yourself to feel again. So you go through the emotions to understand what led to this, why you feel this way, to know that it's okay to not be okay, that your feelings are valid, and that there are options, there is help available to you. And maybe if you have sought help and you're on medication, or you're having ward visits or anything like that, maybe that particular method is not the best for you. Maybe there's another way you can address it. If you're self-medicating, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Maybe you should be getting professional help to help you with this grief that you're going through. So these are things that you'll need to consider, because I feel like there are many options and there are various different ways of dealing with it, but there's going to be some that are more suited to your needs than others. And I feel like whatever you're doing right now is really not working, as we can see. So this is where you are at this current week. These are the things that you're processing and you're going to have to come to terms with. So this is going to be very important, particularly this weekend. You're going to really have to assess that and say, is this working for me? Is this coping method the right one for me? Because it's not doing anything other than numbing me completely to everything. So that's something to really consider and maybe discuss with those closest to you, or, as I said, a professional. So going into next week, we have the Father of Wands in reverse. So again, this is the King of Wands, essentially, in reverse. And you have not felt like this, the Star, you have not felt like this for some time. To the point you're wondering, will I ever feel like this again? Because you've just had the wind completely thrown out of your sails, You're not the same person you were because of this circumstance and because of where you've got to now. That's not to say you can never feel this way again. It's just right now you don't see it because you just hit such a low point in your life. And you feel like it really is, there is no other way but just to try and, numb it out as best as you can and just hope that, it just comes to an end naturally. But I feel like that's not the answer, of course. You have to address these things and not just wait for fate to happen. You have to take action. And I feel like some of you really needs to watch your energy. I know this is going to be quite a heavy subject, so I don't mean to upset anyone, but I feel like some of you may be on suicide watch, or you could be on suicide watch because of how heavy this energy is. And if you are getting those kind of thoughts, that's definitely the time to call emergency services, to let those closest to you know how you're feeling, because it's really important that you're not alone in this time, because you are dealing with these really heavy, heartbreaking energies. Okay, so do reach out. And also, if anyone does need someone who is completely impartial, who is basically a stranger, and who is able to keep things confidential, you're always welcome to contact me also. You never have to be dealing with things alone, okay? I just want you to know that it's really important. So moving on to the next card, we have the Ten of Swords in reverse. So really, there is no other way to go with this situation. Like, you've pushed things as far as you can, and you're really at your wit's end. It's at a point now where you have to change something. I think you have to change the way you're coping with it. Because your destructive behaviours is taking you down a really scary path, and not one that you might not necessarily be able to come back from. So you have to kind of intervene in your own self-destruction. Okay? You have to recognize where this can lead and make a decision to change it. Because hope isn't lost. That's the one thing you need to know. This symbolizes a new beginning, but you feel like there's only one way out for some of you, and that's not the case at all. That's not what's being represented here. There is an opportunity for a new beginning, for a new start. It's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight, but it is a choice. And I feel like some of you are not going to want to make that choice, but I feel like some, either family members or very close friends or a partner, I feel like it's more like friends and family though, particularly family, for some of you, are going to intervene. There's going to be some kind of intervention because they're going to see that you just aren't capable of making that decision right now. So they're going to intervene and put a stop to it, should I say. Trying to get my words out. But yeah, so that's what I feel like that represents. I feel like some of you will come to that realization and make that decision. But I feel like some of you will be more like a family intervention that really kind of changes that dynamic that's been going on right now between, you know, yourself and the circumstance. So then coming into the latter end of the week, next week you have the Hanged Man in reverse. So yeah, you really feel stuck. You know, you've been feeling just kind of trapped within this reality, and you don't see any way out. And I think that's why there's going to be other people that will come in to try and help, because you've been trying to deal with this on your own for so long, and you just get to the point where you just can't, you know. I think there may even be a moment where you just kind of break down and say, I can't do this anymore. And then that becomes the catalyst for the intervention. Or that your family will just see that you can't do it anymore, and they will just make a decision to try and get you the help you need, support you in some way. You know, even if that means going to rehab, you know, checking into a mental health unit, you know, whatever it is that you need to do, going to see a therapist or a psychologist, whatever it is, I feel like, you know, that decision is kind of going to be taken out of your hands a little bit if you're not the one that then initiates that. I feel like your family will, because they just see that, yeah, you're going down a very scary path, and they're not willing to watch that happen to you. So I feel like there's going to be some kind of an intervention coming into the end of next week, mid to end next week, for some of you. Whereas some of you might still kind of be debating whether or not to make the decision to actually call for help, which, if you're in this energy, if this resonates with you, you absolutely should, definitely. Just make the call, and you'll be glad you did, okay? So we'll go into the final part of August, the last week. We have the Hierophant in reverse. So what you don't realise is that you hold the answers within yourself. You're just not aware of it because you've just been through so much, and you've not really given yourself the time to fully process and heal from what happened. You're just kind of patching it over with vices and just shrugging it off and giving it all the bravado. But, you know, you've always had the tools you needed to actually be able to cope with this. You just weren't aware of it. You didn't think you could, or you just had enough. You didn't want to deal with it anymore, or you didn't feel strong enough to deal with it anymore. And I feel like with this, you are going to have to rely on that support that's coming in, either from professional health, mental health services, or it could be physical health as well, not just mental health. I feel like this is kind of very much attached to that. You might have to rely on your family a bit more if you're having some physical ailments. You may even have to, I think if you're spiritual or you're religious, you're going to have to reach out to your guides, creator, gods, goddesses, however you see it. You're going to have to reach out to the source, because you're really at your wit's end, and I think you need to feel that higher connection. You need to know that you're not dealing with it alone, even though you know that there is support there. I think you need that transcendental sort of connection with a higher source. So don't be afraid to reach out, because I think they are listening and they're waiting for you to reach out so they can support you and give you that healing energy that you so badly need. To do that, don't feel like, it's beyond you, or you're beyond redemption or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that. It's just a case of you just have to reach out and you'll receive it. So next we have the Son of Pentacles. This kind of becomes subservient to your crutch, your vice. because it's easier, as the book says, it's easier to be a slave to addiction than to go through the pain anymore, right? But that has you feeling really bad about yourself. You know, you might give it all the bravado, and you know, you might feel like the man or the woman, or you know, the person, you know, the one that everyone wants to be like on the surface. But beneath that all, beneath all the, you know, shallow pleasantry and hedonism, beneath it all, you're really feeling like this card, right? You're really feeling like the Nine of Swords in reverse. So yeah, I just think that you kind of have to recognize it for what it is. You have to call it out, identify the emotions, identify how you feel about yourself, and excuse me, you have to let go. You have to let go of all of this so that you can get the healing and the help that you need. You have to let your guard down and be a bit vulnerable. You have to reach out and accept the help. I feel like this is the main message here, acceptance. You have to accept that you need help. No one's an island. We all need help at various points in our lives, okay? So I feel like this is about acceptance, you know. Accept that you need help, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to accept help, right? And then lastly, we have the Mother of Wands in reverse. This has come out constantly in all these readings. It's so interesting. I feel like we're all dealing with such heavy energy anyway because of all the transits that we had in Cancer last month, and then, you know, Mercury retrograde that lasted all month, and then the lunar and solar eclipses. It just brought up so much baggage, so much pain, and, you know, tower moments, death card moments, you know, all of this stuff. So I'm not surprised that certain cards have been resurfacing for everybody. So this is where you need to get back to. You need to really nurture yourself. You have to be gentle with yourself. You see the snake protecting her eggs with the wand, you know, her motherly instincts kicking in. That's what you need to do for yourself. You need to really protect your energy. You have to, you know, treat yourself like a newborn baby, because you are going to be very fragile, especially if you're trying to kick a habit, because you're going to be very, very vulnerable, and you're going to be far more likely to slip back into those ways and those vices in the beginning. So you have to be very gentle with yourself and know that, you know, you're going to have good days and bad days, but it will get better, it will get easier as long as you do the work and you take it step by step and take the support, take the support that's being offered, because you don't have to do it on your own. And I think at this stage it's impossible for you to do it on your own, okay? But really, so just really be gentle with yourself, particularly towards the end of the month, because you are going to be making some big changes. So yeah, it's really intense energy, you know, like wow, it's really full on. So I can only imagine what some of you guys are going through. Obviously, as I said, this is not going to be resonating with everybody. It's a general reading, but I feel like there's a certain group of people where this will make a lot of sense, because it's just, wow, dealing with some really deep issues here. Something very traumatic that triggered all of this energy, because you weren't feeling like this, but something happened and it really just knocked you back. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. That's what this card represents, the new hope. And you know, you have to treat yourself like a newborn baby. This is leading up to your rebirth, okay? So this is what this is going through. This is what this represents that you're going through right now. The journey towards a rebirth. So I just pulled a card for your overall energy of the month, and you got the Father of Cups in reverse. So that is very much the King of Cups, which in reverse especially, we're kind of seeing here that, you just can't anymore. You need the support, you need the help to get back on your feet, because you've exhausted all of the things you can do by yourself. You can reach out for help, that's one thing you can do, because I feel like that's not what you've done, or if you have done that previously, you may not have got the right kind of help. But I feel like you have to kind of address that, because you just can't do it anymore. That's how I feel. It's just that complete feeling of just hitting a brick wall and I just can't, I can't do this anymore. That's what I'm really feeling right now. Like, I just can't do this anymore. And that's fine. Like, as I said, there is support available to you, but you have to be open to receiving it. You're going to get it from different sources. You'll have family members that really care and try and come in to support you. You'll have professional help available to you. You'll have support from, higher beings, the source. Higher frequencies will be coming in to try and give you some of that healing energy as well. But you have to be open to receiving it. Okay? So I'm really sorry that read was so heavy. I hope that didn't trigger too many negative feelings for you guys. I am really sorry if it did, but this is just what came out, and this is how I feel interpreting it. And that's obviously going to resonate with some of you. As I said, if you do need someone to speak to, if you feel like you can't go to your family, you need someone that you can speak to about it, you're more than welcome to email me on demirably@yahoo.co.uk, or you can send me a message and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But it's just important that you do reach out and not just deal with it by yourself, because you've been through a lot. I see that. But there is hope, okay? That's the important thing you need to know, that there is a way out, and it can lead to really beautiful things. It doesn't have to be the ultimate solution that you may have in mind. Life can get better if you give it the chance. There are tools and people that are going to come in to help you do that and start that journey. You have a rebirth on the cards, right? At the end of the month, that's kind of the work that you'll be going into that will lead you to this rebirth. So you're having a real phoenix moment right now. That phoenix rising energy will be coming up for you. At the moment, you're just the phoenix burning down, and you're kind of seeing the ash already. But soon you will see the rebirth if you do the work and take the support that's been given to you. Okay, so again, I'm sorry it got really deep and went into some very dark themes, but that's why we do, this is why I do this, so that, we can uncover the truth of the situation and help you to really deal with what's going on and, move forward. Because if I kind of fluff over it, then it's not going to serve you. That's not going to help you move forward. So I hope that was helpful in some way, that will give you some guidance as to what can be done, and hopefully some hope, for lack of another word. But so thanks again for tuning in. Do leave your comments and your thoughts in the box below. It'll be really interesting to see what you think about this read. I know it was a heavy one, but I think it was important to just be honest and objective about it. If it does resonate, please do the work. You don't have to suffer in silence. And yeah, hopefully the next one will be much lighter for you, Pisces. I know you've been through it, so hopefully this will be the worst of it, and it will be moving into, smoother, calmer waters, should I say. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. I will speak to you very soon. Take care.